You're listening to Life Check Yourself with life coach, transformational leader, and dating and relationship badass, Marni Battista. Every week, you'll get the raw truth from top experts and real people on the important life and love issues you want to know about. So, if you're ready to life check yourself in your relationships, your career, and the areas of your life that matter most to you, and you're not afraid to be called out on your, stuff, then you're ready for what's next.
Life Check Yourself with Bobby Frank. This is why happy people still cheat in a relationship.
Ladies and our rando gents who happen to listen, because I know you do, I've heard. We have a great guest today, Bobby Frank. He has been married to his wife, who I got to see a picture of, who's amazing. His best friend for 31 years. They have 6 kids, ranging from ages 25 to 37. If you're watching this on Zoom, you're like, but he looks so young. He's a passionate introvert and his wife is an extrovert. But the techniques that we're going to talk about on our show today really demonstrate how you can take 2 different people and create an incredible, enduring partnership with lots of love. He's got a book that he's working on called The Unimpeachable Wife, Developing $1 Million Bank Account and $1 Million Family, which I'm just so excited to chat to you. So besides wanting to know how the heck you do life with 6 kids.
All right.
But let's just talk about relationships and marriage and the state of marriage and divorce. They say, whoever they are, like money and sex are the things that people fight about that lead to divorce. But why do you think divorce is so rampant? Is it a choosing problem, or is it that it's just really hard to live with one person for a long ass time?
Actually, that's a good question here. It's not just a choosing problem, but I think sometimes we focus on the wrong end of the spectrum in marriage.
Okay.
And we're focusing a lot of times on our spouse when we need to focus on us. We need to introspect first. Once we introspect and we can concentrate on us, then things start to fall in place.
So give me an example of that. Because when I talk to women in long-term relationships, they're going to be like, I see what you're saying, but also he's doing X, Y, and Z. Like, you know, I'm right and I may be doing this, but like, why do I let go of that? Do I not care about that thing that he doesn't do? Like, how does this really work in real life, Bobby?
When I was married first, I mean, only one time, but when I was married younger in my marriage, it was a different than it is currently.
Ooh, tell us. In what ways?
Okay, because I was married young. I was married at 24.
Okay.
So at 24, I wanted to be the guy.
Right.
And so some things you do have to let go. Some things it's not required for you to hold on to. It's not important. It doesn't matter. And as you grow, you start to understand that. An example. Because when I grew up, we grew up in a household, my nuclear household. My parents were married and everything like that. In fact, I had 6 siblings as well. I did one of the things that we wasn't supposed to do. We wasn't supposed to spend all of our money on credit cards to buy a house.
Okay.
Because I grew up in a house, I thought that, hey, I needed to have a house.
Yeah.
But that's not correct. Don't violate other principles just because you think something is correct.
Okay.
So we did that, but I didn't have any money to buy a refrigerator.
Okay.
So my wife said, well, I need a refrigerator. I said, hold on, please don't tell me about your needs right now. But then we did get a refrigerator, but then she used that same thing and says, I need a washer and dryer. I said, hold on. Give me a little bit to work this out. So then I'm understanding that it's not only me. I have to give up some of my needs to meet her needs and some of her wants as well. Okay. Does that make any sense to you?
It does. So what you're saying is that when you are looking at the long view of a relationship and you're in the beginning of it, whether you're 24 or 44, there's bumps in the road around understanding that you have to give up certain things to compromise and meet each other's needs. And what I want to just sort of follow up with then is that Do you think it's harder the older, like, so if you're in a second marriage and you're older when you get into your first marriage, do you think it might even be harder because you already have your way so set?
Well, I think it's in a lot of ways. I think it might be easier.
Okay, tell.
And
Tell
the
me
reason
what.
I say and the reason I say that is because you learned that everything is not so important. You don't have to lose blood over everything. You don't have to lose blood over everything. Once you learn and you remember, then you can use that experience to carry on. Now, I'm not saying it's impossible to stay married, because I think it's very possible. But if you are in that situation, I think that you need to learn from that and build a life together. And it's your marriage, and you don't have to live on a jumbotron. Meaning that don't worry about all the optics, that other people are saying. It's your marriage. It's yours and your spouse's marriage, or your relationship, and that's the person that you need to please. That's the person that you need to live with.
So do you think that one of the reasons why divorce is so rampant is because people worry about what other people think? Like, are they
Absolutely.
Okay, so
Absolutely, that's one of the reasons.
Really?
Yes.
So, can you elaborate on that for me?
Okay, I definitely will.
I opened the can of worms.
Absolutely. This is something that I didn't have in my notes. I was not going to say this. When I was younger,
Yeah.
My wife got pregnant at 17.
Yeah.
Well, actually at 16, and had the baby at 17. The optics, the jumbotron, wanted to say, well, you can't do that, which was already done. So, I mean,
Right.
we couldn't do anything about that.
Yeah.
But they wanted us to get married right then and there. I said, no, we can't do that. So once we figured out that, I mean, that if we followed the jumbotron and followed all the optics and what everybody said that we should do, that we needed to do to make this right, or whatever the case is, we probably would have ended up in divorce too. Because then we would have been listening so much to other people's advice and what other people think that's right, and not living our true rightness.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so now I want to know the story. So your wife got pregnant, you're basically teenagers, and so you said to everyone, I assume at this point it's your parents or grandparents or whatever, and they're saying, this is how you do it. So how did you do it? Because obviously you stayed together and you have this huge family. So what was your way that you made it work?
Well, first I was going to go to the Army.
Yeah.
And my dad told me, even though he's from the military, he's military. He told me, he says, Robert, and he really never told me anything, but he did this time. He says, Robert, you don't need to run away from your problem. You need to face your problem.
A wise man.
And with that, he said, we'll work it out. So he included himself in there too. So, and with that, we worked it out.
Oh my God. I love that. I love that. It's funny. I was just talking to a client who's 42 who wants to have kids, and then she's frozen her eggs, and she asked me, what do you think I should do about all these thoughts I'm having about, should I do it? Should I not do it? Should I be a single mom? Should I talk about it on dates? And when we got to the heart of it, it was that other people are asking her and telling her, right? And it was the jumbotron that was actually the root of a lot of her thoughts, even though she knows right now she's just excited about dating. She doesn't need to switch paths. But I think this is a really important thing, because I think part of what holds us back, not even in the marriage part, but while we're even in the dating part or in our professional lives, right? We're like, well, how is this going to look? And when we lead with that, it sounds like that is not a good path.
That absolutely. That's right. That's right. I
love it.
What does she feel? What is right for her? Yeah. Because she's going to have to deal with it. Yeah.
So let's talk about 31 years, lots of expertise. I probably do all these worst things. I love my husband a lot, but I probably do them all. What are the worst things you do in a marriage? We've been married we've been together 15 years. I bet I do them. I mean.
Okay.
We'll see.
Being phony.
Oh, I don't do that.
That's one. That's a big.
What does phony mean? And what does phony mean to you?
Trying to be something that you're not, or trying to prove to them that you're something that you're not. They know it anyway. They may not say it, but they
Give me an example. Give me an example of that one.
If I said that I play basketball every Saturday, I'm okay. My knee is not hurt. Do you want to go out to this restaurant or whatever the case is? And I said yes. And we don't go out because I make another excuse. So just don't be phony. Just nope, I don't want to go, or yes, we'll go tomorrow, or whatever the case is. But don't be phony about it.
I got you. So what you're kind of saying is stop being a people pleaser. Stop saying what you think the other person needs to hear to like make them happy or get them to do something or look at you in a different way or have a certain opinion of you. Is that kind of it?
Absolutely. And then, but now it is important for her to have a pretty good view of me.
Right.
You know, and I want to do what she wants to do, even if I don't want to do it. I want to do it.
A smart man.
Just because she would do the same for me, you know, and that's how you develop a friendship as well.
So then what's the line between doing something that you genuinely want to do because you care about your partner versus being phony about it?
First of all, you're really good, if I can say that. You're really good. Thank you. You're really good. You're a really good interviewer.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Because we happen to work together as well.
Oh, I love that. Okay.
So if I know she doesn't really want to do something, then I'll pick it up and I'll do it.
Okay.
Okay. Even though that it's in her wheelhouse and it's her responsibility, I'll pick it up and go ahead and do it instead of her trying to mow through it, you know. And then when we get home or in the car, we'll go ahead and talk about it, you know, because at that particular time, it's not the right time to talk about it. It's time to talk about it in the appropriate time.
Ooh, I think, okay, this is amazing. So is that connected to one of the other things not to do in your marriage, the mistakes that people make?
Yes. Know your timing. One of the things I talk about is know the speed of going slow.
Oh, I love that.
And what that really is that you have to understand your wife is not just, or your spouse in this situation, because it goes both ways.
Yeah.
They're just not a to-do list on your to-do list. It's not a task on your to-do list. So sometimes it requires going a little slower than what you would normally do. Marriage is a whole different type of contract than a business contract.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
It's funny you're saying that. I think that's one that I'm constantly having to be conscious about is my timing, because sometimes I get in that mode, you know, where I'm like thinking about my day or I'm thinking about dinner or whatever. And I'm like, store, go, here's the list, you know, and he's in the middle of doing something. Or yesterday we went skiing. We did a little afternoon getaway to go skiing. And there was something from the morning that was really bugging me. But I was watching myself being a little snappy.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, ooh, I think I need to say something about that thing from this morning. And I don't want it to leak into the day, but we were going up the gondola and I was like, is this the right time? Is this anyway? And so I just said it like that. Bobby, I was like, so here's the thing. This thing happened. The story I made up was this. It made me kind of sad. I just wanted to let you know. That's why I was kind of doing that. And I really don't need to say anything else about it. And we're going to have a great day. But I just needed to, to tell you.
Right.
We were in a gondola by ourselves. And he was like, process. Okay. And I was like, all right, let's have the afternoon. And then it went away. So I think that was good timing. But sometimes I'll just like be pissed and like, he's sitting at the computer. And that's not good timing. So we have to like self-regulate. Is that kind of part of that?
Absolutely. And if you do that, the time is a part of it. And once you do that, the moment can pass or the moment can be there. And it's taken care of.
So don't things also build up to resentment, right? Like, so your timing is also something of a little bit of an immediacy if there's like something going on. And
absolutely.
You don't want to let it fester.
Right. And you don't want to sweep it under the metaphorical rug neither. Yeah.
Right. Because it always comes up.
Absolutely. And in fact, my wife, Lisa, is an extrovert, but I'm an introvert. So when you brought up that going to the store and dinner and this and that, and I want to do it now, well, that's her. And absolutely. But what I'm to do, because my job, and I'm kind of like laid back, say, hey, okay, give me 5 minutes. We can get ready to go in 5 minutes. Let me go you go get your shoes on, and we can go ahead and get that done. So
that's, I might be married to the same version of the same person.
Oh, and there you go.
I'm like, we're going to leave in 1 hour, whatever you need to do to like get yourself ready. Right. Because he has processes. He just is different, has a different baseline than me.
Yes. So you see, it can definitely work.
It can totally work. And do you think that people make the mistake of seeing those sorts of things as like the reason why it's not working? Like, do you think that people search for qualities in each other that are really just more the way they are versus like how they show up in the marriage and say like, well, that's not my person? Like, do you think they rule people out or get divorced for the wrong reasons because they don't have the big picture view or they're not looking at what's important?
Yeah, a lot of times I think they give up a little too soon. If they just took time to find out and really understand the person, then they wouldn't be in that same situation. Because if you take you into another relationship, you're gonna get the same result because you took you into the same relationship. I mean, so it's not the other person a lot of times. It's us that we have to introspect and look at,
So true.
Yeah.
So true. Okay, so let me ask you this. I know that one of the things that you talk about in your work is the unspoken conversation that needs to be addressed. Can you sort of help us unpack? What does that mean?
Well, the unspoken, because words are only verbal words. Are just about 7% of language. Okay, those are verbal words, but you have facial expressions, you have body language, so you have all the nonverbal communication that's going on as well. And it's some questions that's always underneath, that's lying underneath. It's which I call the ABCs of marriage.
Oh, I was going to ask you about that next. Okay, so what is that?
Well, what with the A is, am I the apple of your eye? Am I the one? And then the number 2, the B, is, will I always be that? Now, if I get a little older, you're not going to trade me in for the newer model, are you?
Right.
I mean, they don't say it like that, but that's happening. And C is, can you love me with cancer?
Why is that in there?
Well, because if I develop a sickness, are you just going to tuck tail and run? Will you be there? Because I'm investing in this thing too. Are you going to be there?
That's so deep. I just watched. So, did you ever watch the show Curb Your Enthusiasm?
Yes, I do.
I love it. Anyway, there's a new season out. Spoiler alert, but not really. So I was just watching it. And so Larry David's character is dating this really not really lovely person who's played by Tracy Ullman, who's amazing. Anyway, and he wants to break up with her.
Okay.
But she's in AA and her sponsor has told Larry, you have to wait 6 months until you break up with her because she needs to have stability, but he can't take it anymore.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
So his friend tells him that you need to say that you're really sick and it's going to be really gross and nasty. And then she'll probably break up with you. And he does. He comes up with this, like the most difficult to be with.
Uh-huh.
I don't even know if it's a real disease, but he goes on and on and on about it. And then the next scene is Tracy Ullman packed up her car and like hightailing it out. She's like, I
can't deal with this.
But like, you're talking about stints and syringes and adult diapers. I'm out. And so he's like, but that's a real thing, right? Like the sickness and health thing. So what you're basically saying is, do you really mean that? Do you really mean that you'll be with me even in when I'm not well, or I have struggles or financial struggles or my health is compromised, things like that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, are you going to stay around? Are you going to stick around? And that's on both ends. And once they communicate that, and once you answer those questions, and once those questions are answered, it doesn't just disappear for everything, but it goes a long way in divorce-proofing your marriage.
That's amazing. It's kind of funny because first you said that, I was like, oh my God. But then I was thinking, so like 4 years ago, I had this really traumatic ski accident, like almost paralyzing kind of thing where I couldn't move for I had to be in bed basically for 12 weeks. But I wasn't in the hospital. I was at home and it was
Great
COVID.
recovery.
Yeah, thank you. It was during COVID. And so there's a lot going on. But there was this I knew then that my husband was going to take care of me no matter what. When that man had to literally put my ass on the toilet.
That's right.
I was like, this guy's
right.
not going anywhere because it
right.
doesn't hopefully get any worse than this.
Absolutely. And how'd that make you feel? That made you feel secure. You knew that this was the guy. This was the one.
Oh, yeah. No, for sure. I mean, because when you go through something like that, there's that person who's going to cry with you and laugh with you, right? So there's those moments where I got myself on the middle of the bed and it's 3 o'clock in the morning and I have to pee and literally everything, he can't figure out how to get me off the bed because I'm like, oh. And we just both started laughing because you're like, I mean, this is a moment. Yes. And so what you're saying is divorce proofing is really trusting that this person that you're going to share your life with is going to be with you and for you in those times.
Yes. And you know that this is the person that you can build with and that they can build with you. So therefore it's no escape clause for them.
I love that. Okay. So you talk about this idea of a lab coat and work boots and how that plays a part in having a healthy marriage. What is that?
Oh, the lab coat and the work boots. Yeah. The lab coat is kind of like the doctor.
Okay.
He puts on this lab coat, little white with coat, and he's discovering her every day, kind of like the fictional book that you were talking about.
Yeah.
He's discovering her, what makes her tick? When is the bad mood? Does she want to say anything to you that's a little harsh, or that's not the right timing? And the work boots, it's when you have to actually put on the boots and do the hard work. You have to do love. You have to love in action.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, because you could say a bunch of shit. Anybody can say anything, right? But
Absolutely.
In the end, it's your actions are louder. I mean, I know that's trite, but it's true.
But they definitely speak louder than words. Yes, ma'am. Yes.
And what do you do if your partner is saying a bunch of stuff and not doing anything or inconsistently doing stuff? Oh, yeah, I'm going to do that. And they do that for 1 or 2 weeks or whatever. And then it kind of goes back to the default.
Which it happens all the time. That's life.
So what do you do?
We have a lot of meetings. And, and find out, what's your PowerPoint? Is this too much? Is this not enough? Can I take some off? What can we do to make this right? Because no one goes into it and say, well, I really desire to be a flake. They don't do that. They don't do that. It may have been too much. That they couldn't handle. And for whatever reason that they didn't make the mark. So you kind of take it off of them and work it out.
I love this. The other day, Bobby, I went to go do the laundry and the hamper was empty. And I was and I walked in the room and I was like, what man, just without even me asking. And I was like, that took 10 years of good, solid.
That's right.
Commitment, right?
That's right. Right. Well, you make sure you give them a thumbs up from me.
Oh, I did. I had a client once many years ago, and she said they were arguing. He was at home going to school, engineering school. She was working full time, and he said, "Well, what would make you the most happy when you come home from work?" And you know what she said?
What's that?
Hearing the dishwasher running.
Wow.
Right?
Wow.
Because she just didn't want to come because he was home all day, right? So he was like
Right.
cooking and cleaning and and dishes. And so she was like, if I just know that you took care of that and that the dishwasher is going, I feel loved. And so
Right.
I think it's really important to sort of like, when you said what matters and what doesn't matter, it's not like the dishwasher per se. It's the like hearing me, like how I want to feel when
Absolutely.
I come home, right?
Absolutely. In fact, to follow up on that, when this is when we were 5 years into marriage. We was getting some traction at that time.
Right.
But I remember asking Lisa, I said, well, how do you know that I love you? I could tell you that I love you, and you know that.
Right.
Yeah. That I'm
That's
here,
a
but
great question.
how do you know that I love you? But the answer surprised me. And what I did, I wrote the answer down on the back of a picture that we had, so I can always remember it.
What was the answer?
The answer was this. She says, when I see you playing with the kids, I know you love me. I was like, and then I was thinking, I said, well, how does that correlate? But she said, because these are my kids. And I'm like, okay, well, they're mine too. But
Right.
she said, because they're my kids and I love them. So if you love what I love, then I can associate with that in that situation. So I'm like, okay, I got it. So I wrote that down. Now technically, right now, 25 years later,
Yeah.
oh, it's a totally different answer now. So
What is it now?
Well, I don't speak harsh to her.
Yeah.
I don't speak harsh to her. If I hear her, kind of like the dishwasher, if when she gets up, if I have breakfast or something like that, or surprise her saying we're going out to eat this morning, or do something that she doesn't expect, So, but that's the answer now. But back then, it was playing with the kids,
I love that so much. I thought you were going to say it was when you're playing with the kids because you have 6 of them and she could just take a fucking minute and have a coffee. She was like, Bobby, when you play with the kids and I can just sit down and not do anything, I know that you love me. But I like that. That's so cool.
Right.
I think that's such a great everyone like is so caught up in the love languages, like, oh, that's my love language,
Right.
But what
Right.
you're asking is like, forget the characters and the quiz. It's just like, how do you know? Like, how do you know I love you, and what can you do? And I think
That's right.
that's such a great answer, and also knowing that it evolves over time
Right.
is
Cut right to
so.
the chase. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so good. Okay, my last question for you, because I know that you have a checklist, kind of, so to speak, of some suggestions that help people start off on the right foot. So what are those?
Actually, I changed the checklist just a tad bit because I heard one of your guests on the podcast.
Yeah.
She was really good. I forget her name. I wanted to look it up this morning, but I forgot to do that.
They're all really good. Every day I'm just like, what the hell? Okay, go ahead.
Yeah.
But tell me your adaptation.
She was a matchmaker. Okay. She was a matchmaker. Okay.
Yeah.
And I said, okay, things is having your eyes wide open when you pick a spouse. One of my daughters, which is a therapist, she says, when people tell you who they are, believe them.
Right.
So don't try to make them something that they're not. So having eyes wide open, that's one of the keys. And then she said, this is the adaptation right here. She says, marriage is serious business. And if you're not ready to commit there, friends are okay. Being a friend is okay. Don't get married because you just want somebody to be with you. If that's the case, you can buy your own self flowers.
As Miley Cyrus says.
Well, yeah, that's in fact Miley Cyrus. Well, I don't agree with everything Miley Cyrus says, but Miley Cyrus is good with me. Yeah. But yeah.
Well, she has that song, I Could Buy Myself Flowers.
Yes. I have a daughter that will buy her own flowers.
I love that. When I was single and I had my 3 daughters, I used to do Valentine's Day for them, and like we'd do a big thing and buy them flowers. Because I was like, Valentine's Day is about like family love and like it's and very empowering. You can have it however you want. And so I think you're so true. Like, you don't, like, you have to really look at why the hell do you want to get married? Is it to go skiing with someone? Because you could literally just have a companion or a best friend who's a member of the same sex or not.
Absolutely. 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 Yeah, that's so incredible. And you when you do that, when you, with your 3 daughters, buying the flowers and doing the Valentine's, you said, wait a minute, I don't need anyone in my life to do this for me. I can do this. Now, if someone comes to alongside and we're matched, then that's fantastic and that's great. But it's not a need. It's not a need. So that's fantastic.
I love this. Well, you are very wise, and you clearly have spoken today from lots of experience and the knowledge that comes from having a 31-year marriage and 6 kids who seem to be thriving on their own. And I just feel so grateful that we got to hear everything that you have to say. What's your new book going to be about? What's the new book, The Unimpeachable Life? Give us a little preview.
Okay, The Unimpeachable Life, just like the title says, about the $1 million family and the $1 million bank account. Well, you can have $1 million in the bank account, but not $1 million family, and you really don't have anything. But so where they tell us that in our society, we cannot have our cake and eat it too, I'm telling you, you can have your cake and you can eat it too. And your Valentine as well.
Oh, I love that. That's so great. Well, ladies, you definitely want to check out stoptostartlifecoaching.com. There's a link, of course, always in the show notes. And I know that Bobby has a consultation that he does complimentary. He's got a lot of great stuff about marriage and divorce. And I remember a long time ago, I had a lunch with a very famous matchmaker on TV who couldn't keep a relationship going for the life of her. And I remember thinking, I think if I were to ever want to work with somebody in this realm, it would be someone who walks the talk. I mean, that's kind of how I sort of make my choices about mentors and things like that. So you definitely have so much to share. So thank you for being here. Ladies, oh my gosh. I mean, this is another one where you just rewind. Also, if you have a friend who's like complaining about her partner all the time, you might want to share this episode with her and be like, girl,
that's right.
Are you focused on you, or are you just making a list of complaints and talking about it all the time? Because there's lots of little pearls in here. You can find me always on Instagram, Marni Battista _. Also, I'm like I keep saying, but I'm old fashioned. I'm on Facebook still. But you can find me there. Say hi. All right. Facebook is good for us old timers and our new timers. In the meantime, whatever you do, don't forget to always life check yourself. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye for now. Hey, thanks for tuning into today's show. So if being in an intimate relationship in which you feel 100% seen, heard, and accepted by a high caliber man is a priority for you right now, and you're interested in seeing if you're a fit for working with me and my team at Dating with Dignity, here's what I want you to do. Just head over to DWD VIP, that's D as in dating, W, D as in dating, VIP.com, and book a call to speak with my team. We'll get on the phone with you for about 60 minutes, and you'll get crystal clear on what's stopping you from finding true love right now. We'll also take a look at what you want to create, what you want your whole life to look like when you're able to finally be fully expressed as a woman in a healthy relationship with an incredible guy. And if we can help you get from where you are right now to where you want to be, we will show you the fastest path possible that makes sense for you to do that. We help smart, successful women all over the world solve this one missing piece in their life so they can finally have it all. So to see if we can help you do the same thing, head over to DWDVIP.com. I'm Marni Battista, and let's talk soon.